In 2020, Gwynn and I got into the property market for the first time in Australia, and in a little over a year, we have turned our home into a 100% solar-powered studio, workshop and urban farm. This is our story. Our home in the northern suburbs of Perth is 800 square metres, located right in the middle of suburbia.
So, it's been incredibly hot. We're heading into Perth summer, which is not a great time for growing anything, let alone vegetables. So I've gone out and done some harvesting. My tomatoes, I've picked quite a few that are not quite ripe yet, but the vines are just dying from the heat. I just can't put enough water on them. So I'm going to put these in the sun and let them sun dry. And we've got some carrots. And I'm going to make some fermented carrot and ginger. So Andrew goes, yeah, but I'm going to slip some in his food and see if he notices. In Europe, in winter, they put their gardens to bed and they mulch them up and they basically put their vegetable gardens to bed and feed them up and just let them lie fallow over the winter. I'm afraid in Perth, we've basically got to do that over summer. It's a case of picking one or two small beds that you can afford to pour the water on that you need to be pouring on to keep it alive. And yeah, for the rest, you just batten down until autumn comes. I mean, when it's 45 degrees, even tomatoes suffer. So yeah, we're going to sun dry these and see what we do with them.
This here is my new studio. Gwynn and I, after 7 years, have managed to buy a property north of Perth where we live, and a part of the property is my new workshop. This material is called Colorbond. It's a painted mild steel, very commonly used across Australia. The challenge with it is that it will need some insulation for this workshop to be usable in even mildly warm weather. So I brought in some subcontractors to help me get going. I'll have them do the cladding and insulation, and I'll build the benches.
It's exciting. Well, that shut me up.
It is, I have to tell you, 40 degrees, which is 103 Fahrenheit. Humidity is not too bad, so, and I put in this insulation in the ceiling because otherwise it would be so hot in here, it would be unbearable. But it's actually no hotter in here than it is outside. This stuff is remarkable. To our South African viewers, this is not the same as Think Pink that you're probably familiar with. It does not share its potential health hazards. This is a bit temporary at this stage. I've got to do quite a bit of work to try and get this stuff that's stored in here organized. But my workbench is working really, really well. In fact, I can honestly say I've never had a workshop quite this fantastic. I love it. And as I'm working on different projects, I'm finding it's a little bit cramped in the workshop. So I'm building a lean-to here, and I'll be able to put some extra workbenches because it's actually really nice working outside instead of inside. So I'm going to have some benches and going to start building that in a couple of weeks' time. And that'll go because we are converting the entire property into a solar farm. We will be 100%, I was going to say 100% carbon neutral. That's not actually the case. All of our electricity will be supplied by solar, and we will be using a small amount of gas for cooking and heating. In November 2021, we fitted a 10 kilowatt hour solar array on our roof. And it's so gratifying to know now that I mean, in the house now we've got the evaporative air conditioning running and my computers, and at the moment we are drawing 1.9 kilowatts. It's all on my little app here, and we are giving back to the grid 3 kilowatts at the moment. And if I'm gonna make myself something to eat, I'm gonna heat up something with in the oven, and if I do that, there you go, it's now jumped to 4 kilowatts, 4.45. The app shows me the condition of my battery, the amount of current that the solar array is producing, the amount of energy we're using, and how much and it gives me the whole picture. It records it on a day-by-day basis so I can see how we're going. So that is a 10 kilowatt solar array powering a 5 kilowatt, which is the maximum I'm allowed with a single phase unit, AC unit, feeding the house. But this should give us enough current to keep us easily fed in summer and most of our current demands in winter. I don't need 10 kilowatts in summer, but in winter, when you only get partial sunshine, I will need it. So we guessed that with that size array, we will be fully functional with our own electricity generation throughout the entire year. The question is, the batteries we have out the back, are they sufficient to carry us over a week of inclement weather? At this point we don't know, and I'm going to wait until winter and be able to measure it on the app to be able to determine whether I need more batteries and how many.
We've got our 2 battery units here, and on top we've got our battery management system. I'm just about to connect the sensor plugs and power plugs on either side, hopefully with a satisfying click.
Those batteries are what? Kilowatt rating?
These are 10 kilowatt hours, usable 9.6 kilowatt hour, and they'll put out a maximum of 5 kilowatts.
This is seriously cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. See what you can find on this side.
I hear you laughing, and I see you smile. You know that you're my everything.
We have a daily crop of eggs, and check what I got yesterday morning. Look at that.
As you dance around.
Look at that egg. That is truly a giant, and that is what would be considered in a supermarket as a large. Look at that. So I'm going to save that for an omelette. Inside is my home studio and editing room, and I have for the very first time set up my edit suite, and I'm just kind of positioning everything. I've still got to build the drawers and put them in there. It's one of the most comfortable I've ever had in my long career as filmmaker and storyteller. So let me show you the workshop now. It's a little bit cluttered. This red toolbox is actually for the Range Rover project, which a lot of the build which will not take place in this workshop. So I need to have a tool center that I can take with me. That'll happen in early 2022, and that's my workbench as it is now. And as you can see, the Troopy is a reasonably snug fit. Biggest challenge has been best use of space, because well, this is it. It's 7 meters long, it's about 4.5 meters wide, and I want to be able to work with the troop carrier in here. And so I can't put any shelves on that side because I want to be able to open both doors, but obviously the full length shelf that side, that's my main working area. But in Australia it's so nice to be to be outside, so I decided to build another bench outside. But it does permit me enough space left and right. I can open the door all the way on both sides, which of course is very important. At the back here I can open the doors all the way, so I can actually get around it and work on it. And luckily, by the skin, and when I say skin of our teeth, it touches that rubber. That's the clearance. But I can get it out if I want to move it all out and open it up, which I will do when I start working on the interior fittings in the tent. I haven't started work on that, but I will. But that's my workshop. It's come a long way in a year. In my workshop is also a 40-litre Snowmaster fridge. One of the things you may have noticed and maybe are curious about is the cladding I have on my shed. This is a piece of it here. It's called Stratocell Whisper. It is specifically designed to absorb sound. It stops the reverberation of sound. When I get a southerly wind, I've got an intersection not very far from my house, and you can hear it now. There's a very, very slight southerly wind. It's blowing the sound over. What happens is it hits the side of my workshop and it bounces back into the house. This has made an incredible difference to the sound levels in the sitting out area and inside the house. And I ordered myself a beautiful map of Australia that I'm going to put up there, and also a map. These are HEMA maps, laminated, so I'll have an Australia map and a world map. Of course, the idea of it is that I can plan trips. That's where I live, and these dots on the map are places that I've already travelled in Australia. I've done pretty well considering, but there's a big gap here. Big gap. Places that I have not visited. This was actually made for the Dream Tourer. The idea behind it was that I would actually be able to park the camper on top of it and then move it in and out of the workshop and actually even store it here. The trouble with that idea was getting the camper on and off the ute was a real pain. It wasn't easy jack up move, you know. I thought it was an easy thing to do, but actually not at all. And this height plus the camper wouldn't fit through that door. But anyway, that's a thing of the past. So I am now using the table as a workshop. I need to put some cardboard on it to work. Quite a few of the bits and pieces that I built into my workshop have been made from bits and pieces lying around. This is no different. I want to make a chair to sit on. That's a troop carrier seat. That should be quite easy to make a stool seat from. The seat base is made from pallet wood.
Try to sit in it. Oh, I feel like this is so dangerous.
Okay, too tall? No, it's fine.
No, it's fine. Your feet are so far from the ground.
It's too far, too high.
This is the most bogan chair I've ever seen in my whole life.
So these bushes, as you can see, they're really struggling. So I think what I'm going to do, Droony, is I'm going to take off all of these tomatoes. It goes against every instinct to pull beautiful tomatoes off when they're still green. Okay, I think maybe I'll let these last few ripen on the bush. If I lose them, I lose them. She's my constant companion out here. She just loves being in the garden with her mum. The last of the mulberries, and are they delicious? And Andrew eats all the strawberries. I grow them for him. As promised, we're about to make an omelette with some of our own beautiful eggs. Now imagine our surprise when our chicken delivered this. everybody in the family joked and said, ouch, poor chicken. Anyway, that aside, we're going to break this and make an omelette with it. You know what they say, you can't make omelettes without breaking eggs. And we've got an experiment going tonight. We're going to use our induction cooker to make an omelette. That's the first time we're doing it. So really one shouldn't experiment for the first time in front of the camera. But hey, there's nothing like living life dangerously. Okay, are you ready? Wow, double yolk. Normally, when making an omelette, I would have split the yolk from the white, and I would have beaten up the white separately and made it all fluffy, and then beaten up the yolk and put the two together and make a big fat high souffle-like omelette. But because the one yolk had already broken, that's not possible. But wow, this is exciting. So, I'm thinking maybe this is for Andrew. I think I might put in another egg. He needs to keep his cholesterol up. Bit of garlic and herb salt. Okay. Now for the power.
Watch me as I go.
Wow, it's boiling. Hot.
Okay, now turn it down, turn it down. $800. It smells very nice, but this is induction cooking. Hey, it's a new way of cooking. It's a whole new. See, it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet. It's not ready for turning. It's a whole new way of cooking. It's not a matter of, it can be incredibly fast, but it can also be incredibly long.
Okay.
Yeah. You need to turn it down just a... Oh, you have already.
Yep, I have. Hey, do you want to bring a plate? There you go, boys.
Thank you very much. Okay, what you doing now?
Okay, I'm dehydrating veg. These are frozen veg. The reason why I'm doing frozen veg is because then I don't have to have frozen veg in the freezer. I can put other things in the freezer that are of more value to me. And I dehydrate these. It's nice because they're already blanched, they're easy, ready to go. Stick them in the dehydrator. They end up, this volume is reduced down dramatically. I'll show you in a minute. And we just take a handful and throw it into a stew or a casserole or whatever, and they're your veg. So I've already got some goodies going in here. Our dehydrator runs pretty much 24/7, but it's fine because we have solar. So there we go, and a nice big fat battery. So let me show you what it dehydrates down to. Let's go. So here we have 6 kilograms of dehydrated mixed veg with vacuum sealed with an oxygen absorber in it. This will seal easily for a year, 2 years, but obviously we don't leave it on the shelf for 2 years. We rotate through it. I'm all about easy cooking, so I would rather do a whole massive thing once and then be able to cruise with my dinner preparation, for a month or two, and then hit it again and do a whole massive cook up, because I'm all about working, what's this thing? Working smarter and not harder, something like that. So the urban farm has been productive. I've been canning. When I grew up, my mother used to bottle. We called it bottling. We didn't call it canning. I think canning is an American expression that's come into into the lingo. Anyway, so I bottled some pasta mince. And this is now going to go into my pantry. I also do dehydrating for camping. These are tomatoes. I do a bit of herbs, some nutritional yeast to give it a nice cheesy flavor, and they're great for on sandwiches. You put that on a sandwich with some mayo and whatever else you have in your ham or whatever. They soften in the mayonnaise and you get this amazing fresh tomato taste, but they're dehydrated, and you put them in a bag, or for camping you can vacuum seal the bag, and you're carrying that instead of a whole lot of tomatoes. The same with mushrooms. I dehydrate mushrooms. I wish you could smell it, the things, that mushroom smell, almost overpowering. And then if you're even more short of space, this is just amazing. These are a lot of mushrooms powdered into powder, Gwyn, and a tiny bit of that thrown into a sauce or a casserole, a poiki. Oh, it's just amazing. And again, you vacuum pack it, and you're carrying virtually nothing for your camping. I also can meats. So here I've got some beef stew. This is a perfect size for Andrew and me. Cook that up. I cook up a batch of them and then just heat it up, pour it over some rice. Delicious. This is raw packed chicken, which I can then, the chicken is now cooked and I can put it with whatever I want. Chicken a la king, finish it off with some cream, and then of course who can live without pasta sauce, that's mince. And then when things are in season, these are cherries, although there are only 2 people in the family who like cherries, that's me and Erin. We're going to have a good time. So yeah, the urban farm, we do this because it's fun. It's a really fun project that Andrew and I enjoy doing together. It has application, it brings the whole family together as well. The girls come around and the son-in-laws come around on Saturdays. We spend the day together working in the garden, playing with the chickens, playing with the grandkid, all of the stuff. And it's valuable for camping. If Andrew was to go away on a couple of night trips, instead of him standing there making his usual bought food or his toasted cheeses, he can take a beef stew, or he can take whatever he wants out the pantry, and it's ready cooked for him.
But it is my eldest daughter Stephanie who has the most remarkable green fingers.